Hello, welcome back to another episode of Steve Out and About. Getting ready to take off for my walk. After I do that, I think I'm gonna run into Hopewell. It's just a couple of minutes across the bridge there. Take a look at historic City Point and Appomattox Manor. It's for me, it's a fascinating place. A lot of history, a lot of historical and great people have been over there from time to time. Lincoln and Grant, and had Benedict Arnold back there in the War for Independence. He marched British troops through there, and it's the history behind it's just kind of fascinating to me. But that's what I figured I'd do as soon as I take my walk here. I'm gonna run over yonder. It's probably gonna be a 2 or 3 part video, because just strictly for time constraints. But we'll walk around, kind of give you just a little tour of the place, I reckon. But we'll see you in just a minute. Well, here we are at the conjoining of the Appomattox and the James River. That's a Benjamin Harrison Bridge way off over yonder. Back in the 70s, a barge hit it, tore it down. Reminded me a lot of that accident up there in Baltimore. It's a wide river. At one point, City Point was one of the largest seaports in the world. Hard to believe it now. I remember when I was a kid, it had a bunch of old barges up in here and riprap and stuff was so on the shore. We used to come down here and fish off of it. You could back right up to it. But now they got this little fine little park here. Made a little dock here for you to sit on and fish on. Right over there where that smokestack is, that daggone string factory I used to work at. And that white building to the left there is Philip Morris Tobacco Company. I'm gonna pause it here for a little bit and let y'all get a good read of this here. Tells you about Captain John Smith's adventures on the James, just like when I was over at Dutch Gap. This here talks about it being a Yalta conference down here. It's where Lincoln and Grant and all his generals fought the war from, right up on the hill there. Then we got this one here, just continues about Sir Thomas Dale, like I was talking about at Dutch Gap. Talks about how it got its name from the Appomattox people. So, if y'all get a chance, you can pause it and read it. Extremely interesting, the history around here. This here little historical plaque just tells you about the City Point being one of the busiest seaports in the world. If y'all get a chance, you can blow it up and read it, but it says at one time as many as 225 vessels were on the rivers on an average day. It'd been a daggone seaport before the Civil War, and then it just expanded. It's unreal what they had here. Now we're gonna walk up the hill to Appomattox Manor. You can see the old brick here on the road. They never covered up. We even got little ditch lines with it, built out of brick. If y'all get a chance, you might want to go to Savannah. They got a place down on the river there where the streets made out of ballast stones. Every time the ships would come in, they would unload their ballast, and that's what they made the roads out of. Interesting. We like to go down there. A lot of history. It's a nice place. This is just one of the many historical sites out here, talking about how City Point was founded. You know, City Point was one of the first, is the second oldest incorporated English settlement in the country. Hampton, I think, is the first one. So it's been here a long time. Then here's what really amazes me about up here is Appomattox Manor. It was given to the Epps family in 1635. It was in the same family for almost 400 years. They didn't get rid of it and donate it to the National Park System until like 1979, I believe. So it's just amazing. It's also been shelled by the British during the Revolution. This little piece of land up here, it ain't a big city, but it has sure played a lot into the founding and history of this country. This talks about General Grant's headquarters. And about 3 weeks after, no, less than a month after Lincoln left here the last time, he was dead. He was shot. It's one of the last places he visited before he went to go see that play in Washington. He lived on the daggone boat down on the stayed on a boat down on the river down the hill. And this is the view from the top of the bluff here at Appomattox Manor. You got where it joins the James out yonder, and that bridge over yonder is going into Chesterfield from Hopewell over here. So we're just downriver a little ways. What a lot of people don't know is that this is the front of the house. Back in them days, they always put the front of the house and facing the river because that was the nation's highways back then. If you go on National Park website, you can get a picture from at this house from the front and the back, but this here's the front, and you can see the difference between the way back actually during the war in 1864, I believe the picture is. National Park website. And it's got a big old hole up in the roof, and it's all growed up around here. And at one time they had cabins lined all the way down here, because this was not only Grant's headquarters, but a daggone supply depot. And they had like 7 hospitals up here and thousands of men. It was just unreal. But Mr. Epps, he owned I forget how many acres, 23,000 acres, 2,300 acres or something. It's a big piece of land. Just about all of Hopewell and parts of Prince George. He even owned a place down there on the other side of that river there, or that bridge there, called Western Manor. I go over there fishing sometimes. But let's go over to see Grant's cabin. You see this little historical monument plaque out in front of Grant's cabin right there. It tells you all about it. This is where he met Lincoln at. He even met the Southern Vice President and Director of War or whatever. Try to secure a peace agreement, but it fell through. If you get a chance, you can read it. But it's what amazes me is that this cabin was moved to Philadelphia after the war, and it remained on display for 116 years. Then in 1981, the National Park returned the cabin to City Point and reassembled it. Only about 10% of it is actual original. The few relics are on display. It's the only thing left is the actual door they have inside the cabin, and I think the brick foundation or masonry foundation was original in the fireplace. Everything else they had to reconstruct. They got a piece of plexiglass in front of the door here, but this park is not manned by any ranger or anything. It's just a self-walking tour. And they got a lot of these things here out here, these signs describing everything. Some of them even have audio if you push that little button right there. And it'll tell you about it, about what's going on out here. But oh, and that's that picture. I don't know if I showed y'all that I was talking about all them cabins lined up like that. And this in here was Grant's cabin here, leading right up to the front there. Just amazing what they had out here. You know, that's what gets me about these little historical places like this. They're free to go to, and they're it's little bits of history that you really don't hear in school or know anything about. You know, like for instance, you know, Virginia's known for a lot of Civil War stuff, and very few just remembered about the Revolutionary War here. But a lot of it took place here. Matter of fact, both wars were ended right here in Virginia. You could honestly say that Hopewell played a lot of part in the fall of Richmond, because they captured Hopewell and fought the war in Petersburg. And once they took over Petersburg, within 24 hours they had control of Richmond, and the war was essentially over. So both of them started in other areas, but they all ended in Virginia. It's just amazing to me that be able to walk the same ground that a lot of British blood, Yankee blood, Confederate blood had been bled on, and bring us into a country like we got now. You know, it's just amazing to me. At one time Lincoln was probably standing right here in Grant. It's just unreal. Kind of gives you kind of a weird feeling to walk in the steps of history, you know. And we loaded for it up here in Central Virginia. You could probably go somewhere different every week and never finish it in a year. And that's right here within 20-30 minute drive from me. Down there down to James there, there's two homes to presidents, probably about a 20-minute drive from here. I think it was William Harrison and John Tyler, I believe, down in Charles City. At one point, the first 7 presidents of the country had visited Shirley Plantation down there, I believe it was. I mean, just amazing. Washington, Jefferson, Adams. I mean, you're talking, yeah, some big time players in the history of this country. That's why I like to come out here. But we'll see. Down here in City Point, there's a lot of these old historical homes that were here, but they're on a historical register back during the war also. They've been here for a couple hundred years, I guess. That one right there where that black truck is, my daughter's dance teacher used to own that. There's a little horse and buggy up underneath the carriage shelter on the side there. But you'll be walking through these streets down here in City Point, and you'll see little placards on all the houses. Me and the wife actually looked at buying a house here when we first got married, but you got to be careful buying in a historic area. You got a lot of regulations. Get some more of them Canadian geese. Got them all over the place. They've become a hazard down here. Hey man, I'm glad y'all come along on the tour with me. This kind of stuff is interesting to you. There's 2 websites, or I don't know what you'd call them, but I'll put them down in the daggone show notes so you can click on them. One of them's the American Battlefield Trust. It's a non-profit group that tours these places, and they help save them and restore them and junk like that. And they have a bunch of videos on here. I'll put that name down in the show notes. And another place is National Park Planner. He goes in a lot more depth on things. He has a website you can read. I think Steve Marcos is his name, but he goes into a lot more detail about what went on at all these sites. I just kind of hit the highlights, and it's an interesting read, probably a 5-minute read on every place he's been. But he has a ton of pictures and stuff. He even actually has pictures inside the manor and Grant's cabin and stuff like that. But just in case you're interested, it turned out not to be as long a video as I thought it was going to be. So I'm just going to go ahead and do just one video. I appreciate y'all hanging out and taking a trip with me down History Lane. Y'all take care, man, and enjoy yourself. We'll talk with you later.